Hey there guys, how are you? So I'm in a slightly different location right now. I'm only technically 3 feet away from where I usually record videos, but I just shot a Q&A and I'm too lazy to move everything 3 feet that way. Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets is directed by Luc Besson, who also directed The Fifth Element. Now since it's late and I'm feeling a little bit lazy, I don't feel like giving you the synopsis to this movie because first of all, it's very convoluted and it's a lot to remember and a lot to say, so rather than do all that, I'll just put it right here. Yeah, you can just read it, you can pause the video, it's right there. But once again, this film is directed by Luc Besson, who also directed The Fifth Element, and as far as a visual standpoint goes and a tone, both The Fifth Element and Valerian look like they could exist in the same exact universe. Both films share the exact same visual style and tone, and they even share the same sense of humor. Introducing Corbin Dallas! That's my Chris Tucker impression. Let's move on. So if you really enjoy The Fifth Element, you might enjoy Valerian, even though I would say Fifth Element is a way better movie. Now this movie stars Cara, Delevingne, and Dane DeHaan. Now the first time you're introduced to both of these characters in the film is maybe 5 or 10 minutes into the movie. And soon as that scene happened, 5 seconds afterwards, I thought to myself, both of these actors were terribly miscast, especially Dane DeHaan. Now when it comes to Dane DeHaan, the dude can act. I really enjoyed him in Place Beyond the Pines, but as far as Dane DeHaan being cast in this film as the character of Valerian, who is supposed to be this badass agent, never once throughout this entire movie did he convince me that he was this character. And to further emphasize my point, let's very quickly talk about that opening scene where you're first introduced to both characters. And he's walking down this hallway corridor of this spacecraft, and he has no shirt on, and he's built like a 9-year-old little boy. He's built like I was 5 years ago before I ever started working out, when I look like an alien addicted to heroin. And in all fairness, when it comes to actors playing certain characters, take Star-Lord, Chris Pratt, for example. When he got that role, he got in shape. He started working out so he could look good as Star-Lord, and we bought into it. And speaking of Chris Pratt, someone like that should have played the character of Valerian, or someone like a younger Keanu Reeves, because in this film, I don't know if the director told Dane DeHaan to do this or he took it upon himself, but Dane DeHaan in this movie does a Keanu Reeves impression for 2 hours. I am a federal agent. He says it just like Keanu Reeves did in the movie Point Break. It's identical.
I am an FBI agent!
And as far as Cara Delevingne goes in this film, I liked her character. I liked her performance a lot more than Dane DeHaan's, and I actually bought into her character at times throughout this movie, and I thought if she just would have had a better co-star or someone that actually had chemistry with her, it would have been a lot better movie and I would have cared more about both characters. And this is just a weird observation, maybe it's just me, but I actually thought when the movie first started, they were actually brother and sister and not romantically interested in each other. Because once again, this goes back to bad casting, but they look like they're siblings. They look related. There's a lot of similar features where I would have thought they were brother and sister. And maybe they are, and maybe in this galaxy, stuff like that's cool. I don't know. And now as far as the overall style and tone of this film goes, once again, this looks identical to The Fifth Element. And as far as that style of sci-fi goes, it has a very over-embellished look to it. Everything looks like a live-action cartoon brought to life. And thinking about it now, the main aliens in this film look like B-rate versions of the aliens in Avatar. Now, my biggest negative with this movie is the pacing of this movie, or the lack thereof. So here's how the movie plays out. You have characters going from place to place to place to place to another place, and the only reason they go to all these different locations is because the director said, you know what, I want to show something really cool, so let's just make a scene. The best way to describe this movie is, it feels like 100 scenes just mashed together with no tape to hold them there. See, that's what you need to make a good movie. But this movie doesn't have tape. It's that. That was a terrible example. But if you know what I'm talking about, please let me know down below. Okay, if the tape thing didn't make any sense to you, another way to describe this movie is, have you guys ever watched someone play like an objective video game where a character has to go place to place to get something to take it back to another place to open a door, then once you're in the door you get a key and then that key opens another door, then once you're there, blah blah blah. You get what I'm saying. That's what this movie feels like. Oh, and speaking of random scenes and things in this movie that just show up and disappear for no apparent reason whatsoever, Rihanna's in this movie and she plays the character of Bubble. So now, here are my final flicking thoughts on Valerian, City of a Thousand Planets. As far as the overall concept of this movie goes, a futuristic sci-fi film with badass characters, cool alien creatures, and this gigantic space station, that sounds awesome. I'd like to see that movie. But when it comes to this movie, the execution of all those cool ideas, it fails. And also, once again, there's zero chemistry in this film between both characters. And you really can't buy into anything that they're doing or saying because you just don't care. And the movie just feels like it keeps going and going and going. And halfway through this movie, I thought, okay, you guys could end the movie right here if you really wanted to. But no, it just keeps going and going and going and going. The movie doesn't have a very good script, but visually sometimes the movie is fun to look at. So I'm going to give Valerian City of a Thousand Planets, a D. I'm going to take a drink of this. Alright guys, that's my take on the movie of Valerian. Now here's my question to you, and let me know down below. If you've seen the movie of Valerian, let me know what you thought about it. Or, for no reason whatsoever, what is your favorite Keanu Reeves movie of all time? Let me know that stuff down below. And also, if you haven't already and you have nothing better to do, make sure you check out my latest movie reviews for the movie Dunkirk and War for the Planet of the Apes. Both those videos are on my channel. Check them out. As always guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. That way, I can see you next time.